Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. And this is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads and discuss what's good and bad about them. My name is Tom Ollerton. We are brought to you this week by our partners, Contagious.com. So thanks, guys, for sharing the ads that we chose this week. And please go and check those guys out after the show. So before we get to this week's ad, let's meet this week's guests.
Hi everyone, I'm James. I'm the brand manager for Magnum in the UK, working for Unilever.
Hi everyone, I'm Donata Peksa and I look after brand experience for HSBC.
Hey guys, Norman here. I'm the head of marketing and strategy from Huawei mobile ecosystem team in Singapore.
Wow, what a mix, what a panel. This is going to be a brilliant show. Let's see this week's ad. So guys, I'm going to get you to vote for how good you thought this activation was. 3, 2, 1. A 4, a 3, and a 3. Okay, brilliant. That's quite the video. But Donata, what are we actually watching here?
What we've just seen is a recent brand campaign from Greenpeace Brazil that projects the real effects of extreme events in the virtual city of Los Santos. So Los Santos is one of the most important cities in Grand Theft Auto computer game. So Greenpeace, alongside its agency, had a great idea of raising awareness about the climate change among younger audiences by basically creating that immersive city in the Metaverse and explaining what the results and repercussions of a 3-degree increase in temperature would be and how it's going to be submerged due to the climate crisis. And they also developed, a whole activation campaign around it for young people to be able to actually engage with the game to understand a bit more what climate change is all about and what dangers of climate change we are all inevitably going to face.
Did you think this was a good activation? It's a lovely video, but is this actually great marketing here?
I'm not sure about the actual activation either, because I feel like there's not a clear linkage or call to action about this video in the end for users to really download the app or try it right after the video. For me, after watching this video, just this is a great piece talking about climate change and immersing myself in the virtual reality world. But I really don't know what's the key messaging behind it in terms of as a user audience, what should I do? That's why I'm not so sure whether in terms of activation, it will really work out. But as an awareness kind of stage video campaign, I think it does leave a very good impression.
I have poured more hours into GTA 5 quite a few years ago, and I've spent hours of my own life sort of in those locations. It's a place that's so familiar to so many people and gamers more specifically. Telling people just how this environment will change as a result of the temperature rise, I think is such an interesting way of doing it. As a gamer, being able to ride a speedboat over the streets that I used to drive down would be a genuinely novel and interesting experience. And I would know in my head the reason I'm able to do this is for a terrible reason, and it has landed that awareness. And I'm not going to think for a second that climate change is good because it means I can speedboat down a high street. You still land that key message.
Do you think that showing something in a virtual setting will actually make people think? It was interesting to hear James is a native of Los Santos for many years, which is great. Are people actually going to think, I'm going to do something differently now? Because
it's in an unreal world and because it looks very realistic, I think maybe the gravity and the importance of the issue may not come across as strongly as it should. I didn't necessarily know what the call to action for me would be if I were the recipient of it. If you go to the website that is made available by Greenpeace, you can actually sign a petition to pressurize the government, basically, of Brazil and the governments. But again, to Norman's point, you would only realize that you can have that impact if you followed up on the link, which I don't think is actually made available in the clip itself.
How could have this been better? What would be your builds here?
I do agree, like the overall touch and the tone can resonate with the younger generation. But here comes another question, is whether the gamers will be the right target audiences, because the whole idea is to encourage and drive the awareness of like people's climate change kind of mindset, and to encourage and pressure government about this. But will gamers to be the right target audiences? I think there's actually a big question mark. Let's say if GTA is already a done deal and then they want to have this kind of brand association, perhaps they can do some more, like instead of just showing like the GTA kind of font or icon in the very end, right? What I have in mind is maybe they can zoom out a little bit in the very beginning of the video or at the end of the video to show people, oh, this is actually happening on a mobile phone, or it's actually happening in a VR goggle. So people will know, oh, this is actually a game they can actually play. The other thing is the call to action in the end. Instead of just showing like the Los Santos 3 and then a very small URL at the bottom right, perhaps they can extend the time a little bit longer and then split the Los Santos logo and the URL into two different cuts. I believe they can somehow drive the activation in this case.
Do you think they've gone far enough here?
I would say yes, because I think the way that you talk about climate messaging, you don't want it to come across in any way preachy, or as if you're telling people things that they don't want to know or that they already know. Tying it in with the world of gaming is so tricky because gamers as an audience are just naturally more skeptical and aware of brands and can be a bit more scathing and sort of critical of when brands try and shoehorn something in. But I think what I like about this is that it doesn't feel shoehorned. It is just genuinely a new way to experience this world and this game. I do, however, though, completely agree with the criticisms we've seen on the key message and the call to action at the end of it. I think the video falls victim of being a little bit in between two camps, where the video is neither a clear call for people to download this game pack and play the game, and neither is it a really clear message on this are the impacts of climate change. It's sort of somewhere in between, about play the game and learn about it. I think a clearer distinguishment of exactly the role of this piece would have really benefited it.
Right at the end of the advert, it says, come and play this game in the metaverse. Is this a metaverse execution, or is this the agency positioning it as a metaverse execution, or does it even matter?
It's one of those things that everyone is talking about and everyone wants to do something about it, but not necessarily knowing what it's supposed to be. So I think there are just a number of discussions about what constitutes metaverse, what can brands do in metaverse. There are more questions right now about metaverse than answers. Computer games in general, especially the ones that are so genuine and authentic looking as GTA, are, metaverse in its own right, aren't they? Because they create a whole universe, virtual universe that exists, and there and brands exist in there, and people exist in there, and equivalent of countries and cities. By just saying that you exist in metaverse and just partnering with GTA, is that enough to lure that audience? Is probably a good question to ask.
For me as a consumer on the metaverse point, it almost, in terms of how it made me feel, it almost frustrated me a little, because it made me question my own understanding of what the metaverse was. I saw that tagged on and I was like, I swear the metaverse was something on Facebook. And also I swear that was just GTA. I've been playing GTA for years. That's not the metaverse. And it made me question my own understanding of it, which is not a nice feeling to think at the end of an advert. So that I did find to be something that was, didn't leave me with the best aftertaste, one of confusion and questioning my own understanding of something. Maybe it is that I do need to get a better understanding, but either way, it's still one of those things that you see in ads and you question, it makes you question exactly why it's there. What does that mean? What's the role of it, etc.
Well, there you have it. Thanks so much, guys. Norman, Donata, and James. We'll see you all underwater at some point in Los Santos.